Okay guys, the purpose of this video is to show you how to plan or create a cutting plan for these parts for the big joint house in AutoCAD. So referencing these measurements right here, we're going to jump over to AutoCAD. I've already launched that for you. And recall from the previous video, I showed you how to set up the two stock parts, the two 16.5 inch by 3/4 inch rectangles. So those parts are already drawn here, and now we're going to come up with a plan. We've got to figure out how we're going to lay things out here. Using the line tool, come down here, and I want you to mouse over the end point of this. And from the end point, I'm not clicking on anything. I'm just simply mousing over it until I get that little green snap. I'm going to pull out along the line, and as I do, you see the word extension appears, and there's a dotted line that starts to kind of draw itself, an extension line. What I'm saying is I'm using the end of this part as a reference, and I'm going to put a measurement in. So considering parts E and F, which are 4 inches long, if I extend 4 inches away, so I'm going to type the number 4, and I hit enter, my cursor is put 4 inches away from that end point. And now I can just simply draw a line until I reach that intersection there. And I'll click, and then hit escape, ESC. Now I have my first 4 inch part. So I'm going to put some text in there. Take a text box, click and pull out, and we'll type the letter E. Okay, and then click out. Now I'm ready for my next one. Before I start with my next part, I need to factor in the saw kerf. The saw kerf is the material that is wasted by the saw thickness, the thickness of the saw blade. Okay, and my thickest saw blade removes 1/8 of an inch material. So we're going to create a kind of a waste zone here by accounting for that. And I like to use this special tool up here called offset to account for the saw kerf. So I'm going to click on offset, and it says specify your offset distance. Well, my maximum saw kerf is 1/8 of an inch, so we'll use 0.125 or 1/8, so 0.125, and then I'll hit enter. And now it says, hey, what do you want to offset? I want to offset this line. So if I click on that and pull this way, make sure you don't pull that way. You want to pull this way, pull towards the right, and I click again, and now I have kind of a dead man waste area. This is the saw kerf, so I'm counting for this as wasted material. I'm going to hit escape. It gets out of the command. I'm going to zoom back out just a little bit so you see what's going on here. And we're ready to draw our next 4 inch part. So let's grab the line tool again. I'm going to mouse over here on the corner. There are a couple different ways of doing this. And I want to extend. I'm going to pull across here. I see my extension line. I'll type the number 4. Enter. And there I am 4 inches away. And I come up again. And I have my second 4 inch part. So I hit escape and get out of that. I can label this part. We'll call this one part F. So type the letter F there, and click out off of the screen. Now I have a cutting plan for at least 2 of my parts, parts E and F. The plan I am using today is not the exact solution, but it will get you thinking about how you might want to lay these out. Let's consider putting part B. Part B is the rooftop part. It's the longer of the 2 rooftop pieces, and it is 5 inches long. So I'm going to again count for a saw kerf here. So I'll use offset. 0.125 is already in there, so we'll hit enter, and then we'll select the line. We're going to pull it in this direction towards my right, and that creates that offset space or waste space. And now we're going to set ourselves up for a 5 inch. So grab the line tool, mouse over the endpoint here. I'm not clicking, just extending in the direction I want to go, making sure I get the green extension line. I'm going to type in 5 and enter. So 5 inches from that endpoint. Now my line is here ready to draw my next part. Now this part has an angle on it. I could draw up like this and know that that's where I'm going to cut this off. In fact, for our purpose, I'll just do that right now. And I'm going to go and start a new line at that same endpoint. I could also draw my line on an angle. So here's my angle. You see I have my polar projections, so my angles are locking at 45, 90, 135, 180. We can keep going around. So here's a back angle at 45. Okay, and hit escape, and I got my part in there. Now, you want to think, what do you have left over and what can you fit in there? Could I remove this line and use this angle? Could I get part B and part A on the same piece? Don't know. Let's see if we can figure this out. Let's first, so we don't confuse ourselves, put the label in here that this is part B, and click out of there. And now let's do a little measuring and see if we have enough material left over to make part. So to make those measurements, I'm going to use this dimension tool right here. I could use a measure command as well. I like to use dimension. Let's kind of zoom in a little so you can see. And what it will do when we use the dimension tool, we're going to mouse to the endpoint. See, it kind of locks there, and I'm going to click. And now I want to pull across and mouse to the second endpoint down here and pull out. And it says I have 4 inches of material left over. Well, part A is 4 1/4. So it's not going to work for me if I try to throw part A in there. Hoping to capitalize on just one angled cut, and knowing that my my opposite angles, my 45 and 135 are going to be reflective, and I could create with one angled cut 2 parts, but I can't do it with this particular layout. I would have to move parts E and F onto another part because I don't have enough material right here left over to do that. So I need to come up with a new plan. Since I only have about 4 inches material up here, and I'll have even less on this side, I have to look at what part is small enough to fit in here. And there's only one option. That's part G. That's small enough to fit in on the end here. So from my cut here, well, maybe from the end over here, we'll plan for part G. So from this end of this, I'm going to take the line tool, mouse over the endpoint, don't click, simply extend, get your extension command. Now part G is 2 1/4, so 2.25, okay, and it mouses up to right here. And I'll come in there. Now what that means is this area here is waste area. This is waste stock. So I'm just going to, so I know that this is not usable stock, I'm going to draw just kind of a waste cross across the middle there to know that's not something to plan to use. The saw will be on the outside here. The saw will be on the outside here. This is nothing I can use. And I will label, get my text tool here, and label part G. So we'll do that. I'm going to zoom out here just so you can see. So there's one part that's laid out, and it accounts for saw curves. I found that my reflective angles won't work together in this combination, but there is another combination that could make reflective angles work if you like to lay yours out that way. There are about 3 solutions to this problem, and there are different ways of laying it out. I want you to figure out the best solution and what works for you. I do have to plan to cut towards my waist when I'm doing this, and so there's some thinking that would go into play here as I actually cut this. This isn't the best option, but it is a working, functioning option. Now on the second piece, I look at what parts are left over. I need to put in a part A, I need to put in a part C, I need to put in a part D. Do I have enough material to fit here? And that's up to you to figure out and think about. After you have your cutting plan set up, go ahead and zoom your screen to a point that everything is basically fitting on the screen itself. We're going to take a screen snap to submit. So I'll show you how to do that. To take a screenshot so you have a snip that you can turn into the Canvas assignment. We'll use the snipping tool, which is already loaded on your computer. You can very easily find that by coming down and doing a Windows search. You pull up your Windows search. You can type snip tool. There it is right there. I recently used it. So I'll click on the snipping tool, and it prompts this window up. Now, I don't need the whole screen. You can just drag, do a rectangular snip. You could grab the whole window too. That will work. But a rectangular snip is what I just chose there. And now draw in. What do you want to turn in? Well, you're going to turn in simply your rectangular layout. It took a snip of that. That snip looks like this. And you can then save that So do a file, save as, and you might just call it your big joint cut plan, big joint cut. But I'll call it there, and I'm putting it on my downloads. I hit save. When you go to Canvas to turn this in, so it looks a little different for me, but your house cutting plan is going to have a place to submit, and you're going to attach that cut plan there to submit this plan and turn it into me. So hopefully that helps you designating or using CAD for a cutting plan purpose. Remember, I am allowing for this assignment and this assignment alone that you could do a scaled drawing on graph paper, and some of you I know did take that home. If you're going to do that, submit for me a photograph taken from your cell phone, and that will satisfy the requirement for a cut plan. But you are going to need to learn CAD because CAD is necessary to draw your big joint layout.